Congressman Scott Rigell of Virginia has been pushing for years for offshore drilling off his district. And Congressman, thank you so much great to see you, by the way. It's been a while, Congressman Rigell.
But thank you, Betty.
Look, I know that you've been looking for this for years. So finally, the president seems to have granted your wish. Why are you unhappy with this?
Well, it is a constructive step forward in some sense. I mean, he opened up basically a four-state region off the Atlantic coast. That's positive, but there are some real hurdles, and I think they're unnecessary ones. For example, the 50-mile limit. We have to go out 50 miles to even begin the exploration and the harvesting of these resources. That seems arbitrary to me. And also the seismic testing was delayed, so now we're going to be delayed until at least 2021 before we can have a lease sale. And Betty, 25,000 jobs can be created in Virginia. We need to diversify our economy in Virginia because of the pressure that's going to continue to be put on our defense budget. So
right.
I want the administration to open up here and let's gallop and create some jobs.
On the 50-mile limit, Congressman, that you mentioned, you know, the Interior Ministry made some, Interior Department made some comments on this, and what they had said was that, look, that essentially covers about 80% of the undiscovered area around the coast. So they feel confident that it does at least cover most of what could be discovered of oil offshore.
Well, if you look at the Gulf region there, it's a 3-mile limit, and so I think 50 is just really arbitrary. The vessels that'll go out there to harvest these resources are displacement vessels. They're going to run around 12 knots or so max speed, and just the transit time, you know, out there and back, I think is unnecessarily long. So I do want to applaud the administration for opening up the region. We want to work in a constructive way with the Department of Interior, but there are hurdles, and Americans want to go to work, and so this is why I'm so persistent on this and vocal about it, is because every one of these jobs is a life-changing job. And again, we need to diversify our economy in Virginia, and particularly in the Hampton Roads area and region because of sequestration and the pressure that's on defense.
Well, how many jobs exactly, Congressman, is this really going to create in your area?
Well, the very best estimate by an objective third party is 25,000. And these are really good paying jobs. I've been down to Louisiana, led a bipartisan delegation. A hard-working tradesperson, young man or young woman, can earn $60,000 in their first year and $100,000 4 years later. And that is complemented by all the high-tech jobs that are paying even more. And these are really good paying jobs, and the folks in South Louisiana, they're so proud of their schools, their roads, their bridges, and their healthcare systems because they've got the revenues that they need. And I want our region to have the revenue that we need, too, to invest in our teachers and our schools, our roads and bridges.
Well, you are seeing revenue though, aren't you, Congressman? I mean, revenue, let's say, from tourism, right? Tourists are going out to the coast, and they have done so for the last several years, last several decades, in greater and greater numbers. You know, environmentalists say, and the Democrats, that any type of drilling offshore is going to jeopardize the tourism industry in your area.
Well, I think a thoughtful debate needs to walk through this because the facts are really on our side. Mayor Will Sessoms, a good friend, mayor of Virginia Beach, 435,000 people, the largest city in Virginia. I have the privilege of representing all along the coast, including Virginia Beach. Mayor Sessoms is for this. We know that the systems are in place. We've learned from what happened in the Gulf and that tragedy that occurred there. We're Americans. We learn from difficult circumstances, whether it's a plane going down or some horrific event like that. We learn. We're Americans, and then we incorporate the lessons learned to make things safer. I just refuse to be put in a box, Betty, of either you're for jobs or for the environment. I am for the environment and for clean water and clean air and clean soil, but we can do that and have a robust energy program as well.
Before we go, Congressman, though, okay, let's make sure that this is all really worth it, right? So how much oil do you believe is really offshore along the coast?
Well, a considerable amount, Betty. There's not a person here that could tell you exactly how much, But every indication, and this data is about 30 years old, but even the data that we do have reflects there's a great abundance of energy there. And that's the next step.
As much as the Gulf?
To go out.
As much as the Gulf?
I would think so. Betty, there's not a person that can tell you definitively, but I'm so optimistic about it because of what we've seen. And with the advancements in technology, our ability to drill horizontally, for example, you're familiar with these abilities that we have now.
Right.
We can harvest this. It's there, and I'm confident that it'll make us a safer America. It'll keep our men and women in uniform from having to go into harm's way. I'm convinced of this. So there are just a number of benefits. The job opportunities for our young people, stronger roads and schools, and I really want us to move in this direction. And we really are working in our Atlantic Energy Caucus that we just formed this morning to compress the time, to compress the amount of time and get out there and harvest this energy about half the time that the administration would have us.
Right, and we know this is going to still be a years long process. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. Congressman Scott Rigell.